First guest tonight is an Emmy-winning comedian, actor, author, and talk show trailblazer. You know from A League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, and so much more. Her one-woman show, Common Knowledge, is playing at the Daryl Roth Theater here in New York through August 8th. Please welcome back to the show the one, the only, Rosie O'Donnell, everybody. We got you back in America. We got you back in New York City. We got you back. This is your old studio.
This is my old studio.
Look at that.
It looks very different.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice.
We try to take care of it for you.
Well, you're doing a good job, it looks like.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you are not living in America right now. You are living in Ireland.
I'm living in Ireland. We moved right before he was inaugurated.
Gotcha. So and that was a coincidence, or?
No, that was very purposeful. Well, I had read Project 2025.
Yep.
And I thought, if they're writing this down for people to read, we are all screwed.
Well, look at you. You got out.
Yeah,
and,
I got out and took my little 13-year-old now with me.
Yep.
And we've been there like over 18 months, and it's been glorious.
How is the experience of being amongst the Irish?
Well, they are so kind and warm. There was recently a survey that was, who are the nicest people in Europe? And Ireland won. And I believe it's true. When they would see me walking in the street or whatever, people would never like stop and ask for an autograph or a picture. They'd say, "Welcome to Ireland, Rosie. You belong here, love." Or I'd go out to a bar and like an older guy would come over and drop a pint right in front of me and say, "It's for you, Rosie. We hate him too."
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. So free drinks.
Free drinks.
Is it true they bust on you for what you drink over there?
Well, a little bit. I drink this beer called Smithwick's, which is kind of like a Boston lager, like a Sam Adams. And it's kind of red and amber in color. And every time I order it at a pub, I'll go up and I'll go, "Can I get a pint of Smithwick's?" And the bartender will go, "Rosie, have you got an old man with you? The old men are the only people drinking this crap." I'm like, it's my favorite beer over there, but I'm ridiculed every time
Every time you get it.
Every time.
Well, they do. I mean, I feel like that no one more lovingly ridicules than the Irish as well.
That's true. And, you know, and nobody drinks more.
Yeah.
Now, when I was a young comic, a lot of comedians did jokes about that, and I thought, this is really unfair.
Yeah, it's stereotyping.
This is stereotyping. And then I moved there. And I went to the doctor the first week I'm there, and there's a questionnaire for new patients. And it said, "Do you drink alcohol?" And I checked yes. And it said, "If yes, please check the box that applies most to you. How many drinks do you have in a week?" The first box you can check said 1 to 15.
That's the least.
Now I said, "Excuse me, Dr. Ward, can I ask you a question? What would you say to me if I told you I drank 15 drinks a week?" She goes, "I'd say move on to the next question." They didn't, and you know, but I've been there now for 18 months, and I gotta tell you, 15 a week isn't that hard to do in Ireland.
No, you can get there pretty fast.
You can get there pretty fast.
The first time you went there, it was right after your mom had passed away. Your dad brought you.
Yes.
So that's, and how old were you the first time you went to Ireland?
I was 10 years old.
10 years old?
Yeah, actually, I just turned 11. My mom died on St. Patrick's Day, and my birthday is 4 days after, so sadly, the funeral was on my birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
And yeah, it's very tragic, isn't it? And this is all in my show, so if you want to laugh. But he brought us, he decided after he had 5 grieving children, you know, from 13 down, that he would bring us to Donegal, not quite Northern Ireland, but awful close.
Yep.
In 1973, at the height of the Troubles.
Yeah.
We arrived to car bombs and unrest. And
was his idea that he'd be like, "See, it's not so bad"?
Well, you know, I think that what he was trying to do was not talk to us about grief, because Irish people have trouble with big feelings, you know. They fold them into silence, you know, and they pass it off as strength.
Yeah.
But it's often just you push them down and you push them down. So I think he was teaching us how to survive it the Irish way, which is that you don't fall apart.
Yeah.
You move on, you accept it quietly, daily, just like the weather. And that's what I think his motivation was. Whether or not we accomplished that is a whole other thing.
You mentioned your show is about both losing your mother, who was a mother to 5, and then you also being a mother to 5.
Right.
I would imagine working on something like this that is so personal, it's probably pretty emotional to put it on the page.
Well, you know, it's interesting. When I first got there, Seth, I didn't know anyone. I had 2 cousins up in Belfast, but that was it. We were in Dublin. And so I'd walk around the streets when my kid was at school, and I'd see people who looked so much like my parents. Like I'd see a 90-year-old woman in the supermarket picking out the fruit, and I'm like, my God, if my mother lived, that's her face on that woman, you know? And I'd see somebody look like my dad in a pub with a tweed hat and a cardigan, and it was like, everywhere I went, I saw images of myself or my family of origin. And I tend to write every day, and what was coming up were all these memories about my mother, about when she passed, about how it was for me trying to mother without having been mothered. And so when I got it all together, I went to a local comedy club, and I didn't have any of the sad parts in it yet. I just put in some of the funnies, and it went really well. And so I thought I could do the other. The next day I went and I started, which the show starts with the day my mother died. And I open with it, and in between trying to tell the story, drip, drip, drip. And then everyone in the audience is like, oh, you know. But it starts with a sad part and it sort of ends with a sad part. But it's the origin story of my life. And I wanted, when I got to Ireland, to introduce them to me as they didn't have my show there.
Right.
Right? They don't have a specific image of me. So I thought this would introduce them to who I was. And we toured all over Europe. We went to Scotland, and then we went to Australia, and I played the Sydney Opera House.
Look at you. That's
I
unbelievable.
was very impressed with myself.
I mean, as you should be.
Come on, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And I got a tattoo on my upper right thigh of the Sydney Opera House.
Really?
While I was there.
That's how much. Now, does that tattoo artist, do you think he gets that request a lot? Like when you came in for the Opera House, was he like, we get that?
Well, I had a picture of it. I said, can you put this right here? And he was like, all right, if you want that, mate. You know, that is the worst accent to try is Australian.
I was saying you crushed the Irish, and then it really fell off.
Really did.
Yeah.
Really did.
Just a massive gap between your Irish and Australian.
I got to stay in Ireland, obviously. I can do New York and I can do Irish.
Yeah. I have a lot more questions for you. We'll be right back with more from Rosie O'Donnell. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Rosie O'Donnell. It's wonderful to have you. We mentioned your show is both about your mother and also being a mother. Your 13-year-old is your youngest.
Yes.
And the birth mother was looking for a family.
Yes.
With very specific parameters for what she wanted for her child.
Exactly. And I have this wonderful lawyer, Steve Sklar. He's retired now, but he helped me adopt all my children. And he called me when I was 50 years old. And he said, hey, Ro, I got a problem. I got this really nice birth mother from Texas, and she don't want no father in the family. She wants 2 moms or 1 mom, but she wants to guarantee no dad. So I thought of you. And I thought, you know, maybe you know some lesbians with the home study, you know? And I said to him, well, this might shock you, Steve, but I'm still a lesbian. And I have a current home study, and if she wants, I would love to adopt the baby. And then he was worried because it was an open adoption. When I adopted my kids, who are now between 23 and 31, the first 4, when I adopted them, most adoptions were closed. And he said, you know, we had to do a closed adoption back then because you were pretty famous, but I figure now, what the hell, let's try open. I'm like, Steve, you always say the most loving things, you know.
So he came to you for a referral, and you were like, I'm going to take it. I'm in.
Well, you know, all my kids were teenagers or older, and they don't like me so much. I'm a very good mother with little kids. I like arrogant, and every time that a lawyer would call me and say, we have a situation, I'm like, send them over. Every 2 years, give me another one. Then they got to be teenagers.
Yeah.
And I was the worst parent in the world. When my 15-year-old
Now,
son...
are you saying that based on how you see yourself or how they saw you?
I believe it's both of us.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. But my son was like 15, 16, and he was doing what you have to do, push away from your parents. But because I didn't have parents to push away from, I was not ready for this. And so I was very emotional. I forced him at 16, can you imagine this, to go to therapy with me.
Oh, my God. Rosie.
Well, listen, Seth, I was very stressed. I I ask him to go to therapy. I get there. It's a 45-minute session. It's my therapist, so I know the guy. I'm crying for 40 minutes. You used to love me, Parker. You used to call me every day, but you don't even answer my text. I'm sobbing. After 40 minutes, I calm down, and he says to Parker, do you have anything you want to say? He says, yes, I do. You think you could adjust her medication?
Oh, my God.
You know, and they did, and it helped. So it was a win-win. You know what I'm saying?
He just sat there for 40 minutes like a sniper. He's like, wait,
pull it. Right, exactly.
You talk in your show, your youngest is a non-binary, autistic.
Yes.
And the title, Common Knowledge,
Right.
Borrowed from them.
Yes, it's taken from them. They use it pretty much daily.
Okay.
In a way to embarrass other people, I feel. But we were watching Jeopardy way back when she was 8. And I believe it was Alex was still around, and he said, you know, what is the deepest part of the earth ever recorded? And she looks up from her iPad and goes, what is the Mariana Trench? And I'm like, what is the Mariana Trench? She's like, it's the deepest part of the earth ever recorded. Come on, Mom, it's common knowledge. And I said, well, what is common knowledge? She goes, it's things most people should know, but they don't. I said, really, honey, like what? She goes, well, I'll give you 3 examples. I said, go ahead. She goes, the Appalachian Mountains have been around since before Saturn had its rings. Common knowledge. Flamingos can drink boiling hot water without incurring any damage. Common knowledge. Cleopatra was around closer to the advent of the iPhone than she was to the completion of the pyramids of Giza. Common knowledge. I looked at her, I said, I have to go to the bathroom. Common knowledge. I Googled every single thing was right.
Oh, my God.
Everything. She has a place in her brain that she stores all of these little facts, and every so often in the middle of dinner, one will come out.
Unbelievable.
And then I put it right in my act.
Now, I have this issue with my children,
Yeah.
with my wife. How do they feel about the show now when they see it?
Well, they will not see it.
Okay.
They have no interest in seeing any movie I was in, any show that I do. She doesn't like me to talk about it. But in order to get the lines down, I was rehearsing in the house, and this is all you hear from the other room. That's not true. That part is a blatant exaggeration. I never said that, Mother. I could sue you for slander and libel. So, not interested whatsoever.
I will keep a streak alive. Every time you're here, I'm going to talk about A League of Their Own. My boys, obsessed. I finally showed them A League of Their Own, and they just loved it.
Now, how old are they now?
They're 10 and 8.
Okay, because when my son Blakey, who just had a baby, by the way.
Congratulations.
So exciting.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. When Blakey was about 16, he came home from a party, and he's like, Mom, when I was over at John's party, they had this baseball movie, and you were like a teenager, and you talked like you were Sylvester Stallone. And I said, Blakey, that's my most famous movie. He goes, you were not very good in it. The love I get from my kids.
Oh, man. I feel like I talk about that movie once a week with somebody about how it might be a perfect film. So
I think it is a perfect film. And the memories I have from it, you know, Penny Marshall was hysterical, but not everyone could understand her.
Yeah.
Right? She was from the Bronx, and she often had something in her mouth, usually bacon. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she'd start screaming on the set, Penny, what's bacon? And when she wanted us to do something, she'd come over and say, okay, I need somebody to go to the field, catch a ball, go over, come up with a hot dog in your mouth. Who wants to do it? And everyone's looking at each other, and I'm like, I'll do it, Penny. She's like, Rosie again? Why always Rosie? And so my part got much bigger during the movie because I was the only one who could translate.
I'm also very excited about this. You're going to wrap Common Knowledge in August, and then you're going to go out to L.A., and you're going to guest host our friend Jimmy Kimmel Show for a week.
And I'm thrilled to do it.
I am thrilled to see you behind a desk again.
Yes.
It is absolutely wonderful. It's a great tradition they have over there. They got a great staff. They take care of their guest hosts.
Yes, well, he and you are doing a tremendous job at alerting the people through humor about the tragedy that's occurring. So congratulations.
We're going to get through it.
And I hope to do it the same thing. I just want to be a good soldier for him and do what he's been doing so well for a week so he can have a nice vacation.
It is just delightful to spend time with you. Thanks so much for coming back, Rosie.
Seth, anytime.
You guys, that's Rosie O'Donnell. Common Knowledge is playing at the Darryl Roth Theater through August 8th. We'll be right back with James Dorton.